This is WGRG FM, where we meet the absolute minimum FCC standards for radio broadcasting. It's time to hang on and brace yourself for a community radio program that's frankly indescribable. Let's Talk Geneseo. Two guys with nothing better to do on a Friday morning but talk about our community. Geneseo City Administrator Brandon Meglin and Alderman Keith Kennett. And yeah, nobody puts the blah and blah, blah, blah like they do.
You know, Brandon, that one's kind of growing on me a little bit. You know, I don't know about you, but
it's
that
fun.
might be the pick.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun on a Friday morning.
It is, but a work in progress. But welcome, everyone, to the Friday, September 15th edition of Let's Talk Geneseo. I'm your host, Keith Kennett, along with City Administrator Brandon Meglin.
Good morning.
And we have a very special guest this morning. And, Brandon, I'll let you introduce Mayor Johnson, which I guess I kind of just did.
Well, yeah, you took the spotlight there. Yeah, we're privileged this morning to have Mayor Shawn Johnson in. He's a very busy guy, so we appreciate him taking the time to be here with us this morning. And we will kind of dive into some of the role of the mayor and some of the things that he's proud of this morning. And, I'm going to turn it over to Shawn from here to let us kind of open this with maybe just a little bit of a back history. Shawn has actually worked for the city before serving as an elected official. So let's start with some of that history.
Okay. So basically a lifelong resident of the city of Geneseo. I was actually born in Dubuque, Iowa. Lived there very brief. Moved here as a young child. Attended Geneseo High School like everybody else. After high school, decided to pursue a career in law enforcement. Went to Blackhawk College for 2 years. Ended up graduating St. Ambrose University in Davenport. Worked briefly for the city of Erie up in Whiteside County for approximately 2 years. And got hired by Geneseo and did 20 years with the city of Geneseo, retiring out as the rank of detective.
Nice. And then I guess what led you after retirement? I mean, it was a short time thereafter that you decided to get into the role of the alderman. What was the inspiration for that, or why was that important?
You know, looking back now, I think at the time my answer would have been I felt as though there were perhaps things going on within the community that I wanted to maybe try to bring a different direction to by getting involved in the elected world. But looking back now, I think that's part of it, but the other part would really be just my sense of community and service to my community. When I turned 18, I joined the volunteer fire department. I did that for 13, 14 years. And then entire law enforcement career, just that sense of duty to community, service to the community. And I think when I retired from law enforcement, I think there was deep within inside me, I think there was a part of that sense of community that was missing that really also kind of fostered my journey into the elected role. I decided to run for council. I won my ward, third ward at the time. And I'm glad I did. It's been a good journey.
Yeah, and it's this is the time of year where, believe it or not, we've actually opened the cycle up for 2024 elections again. There's an election. We have an election in Geneseo every year, at least for aldermen. It's a staggered 2-year terms. So we've actually opened up petitioning for people to run for a role with the city. The elections aren't until March of 2024, but it's an important time to talk about service and why that's important, and hopefully inspire some other people maybe to look into that, because we especially need younger generations of folks from Geneseo to want to serve in these capacities. So.
And you're spot on with that, because actually I had a phone call at home last night with a local businessman from downtown, and he was talking about some of the volunteerism that's gone on recently, and we really are a community of one, and by that I mean your neighbor is your neighbor, but we're all in this together. And since really the COVID situation brought to light the importance that, there's no idea that's too foolish. We had a lot of volunteerism. People bring things forward on how to keep this community going through COVID. But I think what we learned from that is that we can also take those ideas and continue to grow that community. So tying that to the role of an elected official, you know, it's your opportunity to bring ideas forward. It's your opportunity to represent the people in your ward if you're running for the position of alderperson. And it's really your opportunity to make a difference if that's something a person desires. And I think too often people, they assume what the role of an elected official is like. And I can tell you, and Keith, I know you've been on and off a few times. What the public believes a lot of times the role of an elected official is, and the work that we do, tied with the work of the administration and those that work for the city, what people believe and what really goes on are really two different things, frankly. And I think when a person takes on the role of, say, council person, and they have that awakening, a lot, just good things come from that. I mean, it's that ability to have dialogue, have differences in ideas, and you may still differ at the end of a discussion, but you walk away understanding that other person better. And for me as mayor, the same thing occurs when I have dialogue with citizens off the street, department heads when we have different type of staff level meetings. That difference in ideology may still be there at the end of that discussion, but you walk away understanding that person better. And I think the more that we have that type of communal engagement, albeit elected persons with each other, myself with you down through the staff, or elected official with citizen on the street, the more we have that dialogue, it just makes our community stronger.
Yeah. And if I might throw in on that, is that the mayor, though, sets the tone. And and just as Sean said, sometimes we may disagree as council members. We bring our opinions, share our facts, and sometimes we agree to disagree. But most of the time, we are all in lockstep then. And then whatever the decision is, though, we all fall in behind it and then make that work the best we can. And some mayors, having started with it was before even Merle Lesage, I think. Have worked with many mayors, but kudos to Sean, in my opinion, in that it comes from the top down, and that you set that tone, and then that tone flows through everything. It's a tone of respect. It's a tone of we're moving forward in a positive direction, and again, I guess I just would give a shout out to that, because I've kind of worked under both extremes over the years, and it's just in everyone's best interest when you have good, solid leadership, and so just can't really state that enough. It's kind of an intangible of being a mayor. Is that more so just kind of, I don't want to say herding the cats, but in a way you're doing that, and just kind of setting a direction and a vision of what we're trying to get to, and things just flourish when you have that at the top.
One of the most important things that I was told as a young council person, and frankly the conversation that this stemmed from, I did not agree with very much with this person. But the one thing she said to me was, your citizens expect a well-rounded government. And when we went on to talk about that, it was the awakening for me, and her delivering the message that just because something is maybe not important to you, it's important to someone else. And especially if they're coming to you with it, if they are coming to you, albeit with a phone call or a communication on the street or when you're at McDonald's or whatever it may be, if they're putting themselves out there to have that conversation, it's important to them. And I thought about that a lot, because it is true. It's easy, Keith, and to get elected and come on with a whole host of ideas and things you want to advance. And there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, that is the spirit that a person chooses to get into the political world for, is to advance ideas and bring thoughts forward. But you have to remember you're still listening to those that bring things to you. Because if they're taking the time to do that, albeit a phone call or what have you, it's important. So, and that's really been something that grounded me early in my political career, I guess.
Yeah, and that trickles down to staff too. Just the overall vision and taking those things seriously. It's any level of staff or department, somebody may approach you and you've heard this thing 100 times, or it's something that could be a challenge to change, but to just listen to people and let them tell their story or give you that 5 minutes is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of times, know what you know what you don't know. And, there's been many things we could all point to where there has been policy that's been enacted or improvements made or what have you that came from a citizen suggestion. Mm-hmm. And we would be the first to say we don't know it all, and we need we need and value that input very much.
Yeah. So let's Mayor, is there anything in particular that you'd like to talk about? Specifically maybe some of the things that you're proud of what you've seen this council and this staff do in the past few years here.
Yeah, I think the overwhelming one, the easy one to reach down and grab is our response through COVID. That was, I was elected during COVID. In fact, I remember being sworn in remotely via laptop in my office at work, and everybody else was at their respective location at the time. There were so many unknowns with that. We were also transitioning from administration, and it was a turbulent time. I mean, I don't think there's any other way to necessarily describe it. Trying to kind of figure out the way the previous administration was doing things respectively with budgeting and stuff like that. We had to work through some of those things. It all worked in the end. That's the important thing. But we're dealing with COVID. We were dealing with a new administrator at the time. Joanne was relatively new in her role at the time. I was a new mayor. But through that, we pulled together. I mean, Geneseo succeeded. I think when you look around, not only did we succeed, but we really grew. We took COVID as something that was negative for so many, and we've now turned it into a blessing with so many of the things that we're doing in the community. So I am proud of that, of being able to work through that with not only the staff, the fellow council folks, but a lot of great communal leaders. Early on, we formed a local communal response with a variety of leaders. I mean, hospital administrators, members of Hammond Henry Hospital, on and on and on. And we were doing the best we could to try to digest the information we were being given from the federal government down through the state government to us, and figuring out what did that mean for us. Because it's easy to put out a blanket mandate for the United States of America, but what does that really mean for Geneseo? So I'm proud of the work on COVID. I'm happy to say that we are financially strong. Last year was a great budget year. It was a year every department finished at least at a zero, if not with a surplus. So I think that's definitely a feather to hang your hat on. This council works very hard and understands the importance of a dollar. The administration does. That comes from your leadership down through the department heads. So that's important. And I think the work we're doing with infrastructure right now is extremely important. We're trying to bring ourselves current. A lot of things we've done with the water treatment plant, so on, the extra well, the additional well that we're getting ready to put out RFPs for. So making ourselves strong. I know Eric will probably talk more, but there's a desire to expand our renewable eventually, and being proactive and looking at that now, seeing what's available out there, what we can and can't do. Those are all good things. So yeah, I think we're definitely rolling in the right direction.
Yeah, and the flashback to COVID too, as you mentioned, it's, all these things started during COVID out of this time of when everybody was very afraid of what was going to happen. But, the Central Bank Pavilion is this shining example of this, right? Where, and because of your leadership too, and the aldermen allowing staff the resources to partner with these community organizations to get things going. It started as an outdoor seating plaza, and now we're having concerts there almost every weekend. Hanford Central Bank kicked in to build the stage out there. And, frankly, it's this awesome music venue that people can walk to downtown and have a good time.
And it all started with, I remember phone calls and personal engagements with local business owners downtown who are in that entertainment field, albeit food and drink, et cetera. And, I mean, they were in essence told, close the doors and hope you could weather the storm. And there was some really painful conversations, and I didn't have answers at the time. But, yeah, there's pillars of the community, and they always step forward. And I would put Central Bank along with so many other foundational businesses of this community, and they step forward, and look what it's turning into, and I don't think we're done yet with what that venue really becomes in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, how about looking into the future a little bit? Anything that you're excited about coming up, short or long term, for the city?
I think it's to continue the vision we have, continue to make ourselves an attractive employer, and not only from the city standpoint, but our local businesses work so hard to not only put their business on the map, but to put themselves as an employer on the map. I mean, we have, for a community of 6,000, we have so many foundational businesses that attract a great workforce. So I just want to continue. I was left a good legacy with Geneseo. I really was. And, Keith, you mentioned a lot of mayors that I remember going way back. And every elected official, from mayors down through council people, I think they all brought their best forward. And that's an important baton to be passed and to continue on. So it's to work very hard to, keep Geneseo what it is. I know Keith and I, we have that dialogue a lot about what a unique gem Geneseo really is. But I think you can be aware of that, work to preserve that. But I think we can also take that leap and continue to grow the community with what so many communities around us are doing. We can remain competitive and not lose who we are as Geneseo. And I think we've done that in some respects, and I have no doubt we can continue to do that.
Yeah. Nice. Keith, anything else?
Well, ditto to everything the mayor just said, and even going back on COVID, the Central Bank Pavilion, I think Shoot the Loop grew out of COVID, and how many other things. But we came out. I think we were strong through it, and where a lot of communities weren't. And I don't know that many have necessarily even recovered to the point to where they were. Not only did we pull through it, we clearly came out stronger on the other end of it and continue to strengthen that. And again, that's another one of those intangibles. Well, how do you do it? And it's not one person, but it's somebody having the ability to, again, have that vision and just get all the pieces of the puzzle put together to make it work.
Yeah, and that's another, Keith, I'm glad you referenced Shoot the Loop, because that's another, sparkling example of what volunteerism and bringing forward an idea, just a citizen bringing forward an idea. And that's really where it all started with Mark and his idea and a thought. And, people took that and ran, and look where it is. It's one of the biggest rolling car shows around the Midwest that I know of. Mm-hmm. And just back to where I want to see the city go, though, as we work through these infrastructure improvements that we've done with the sewer treatment plant and our water, I don't want to say usage situation, but ability, our water capacity, daily demand. I want to continue to put this city in a strong position. I think it's important. For so long we've desired growth and development of our interstate corridor, and I can tell you that's something every council person has on their mind at all time. We know that is a key out there to try to grow that community and develop that area. So, vision-wise, I make sure, and I know you do, Brandon, we don't look at the ramifications of a decision right now, but we always want to make sure that when we do something, yes, you want to do it on the cheap, but you want to do it right to where you're putting yourself in a position for when that door knocks, you want to say, yeah, come on in, here's everything we have to offer. The last thing I would like to see is to have, the right ex-employer want to bring, $300, $400, $500, whatever jobs, and whatever tax revenue or whatever they may bring to the city, and be able to say, we can't meet that electric demand. We can't meet that water demand or those things. So it's about, doing the best you can with what you have, understanding the importance of a dollar, but also being smart with that. There's an adage that if you can't afford to do it right the first time, you sure can't afford to do it twice. And that's important to remember. So
yeah. And the infrastructure conversations, they're tough. They're not glamorous. Mm-hmm. They're very expensive. The cost of materials continues to shoot up. These are things that you don't see. These are things going underground, but they're critically important. And we have had just, a lot of this. The can's been kicked, and now it's being picked up, and we have to address some of this critical infrastructure.
And we have so much. That's just it. I hear from citizens often about, a broken stretch of sidewalk, or it'd be nice to have a stretch of sidewalk here. Frankly, frustration sometimes, and I understand it. I remember getting a call last late winter, early spring about, I want you to come drive down this block of road. And I did. And, I want to say I was disappointed, but I also know it wasn't in that condition because nobody did want to improve it. I mean, Keith, I know you share the vision. If we could rebuild every road and every tangent of Geneseo, we would do so. But it's about doing the best with what we can, and it's that balance between staying fiscally sound and responsible, which to me is the most important thing. Balancing that with what work we can get done, how we get it done, and what timeline. And back to the citizen conversation. Taking time to drive that road, then call them back and have that visit, they understood. And a lot of times I know when we talk outside of council or just simple conversations with other council people, I always don't be fearful to have that engagement with the public because they just want to be heard, number one. And number two, a lot of times their frustration or their belief on a subject matter is only a sliver of the information. And sometimes as council or elected or even city administration, we have so many more facts. And then when you can share some of that with them, it gives them that understanding. And, we're back to one team again. They might not like it, but they understand. They've been heard. They know we have a plan, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and I know there's and maybe Mayor, you'd like to expand on it a little bit, but we do have some new businesses that are coming to town and what have you, but a visible one right at the corner by McDonald's. But maybe you can share a little bit some of that.
Yeah, the Scooters Coffee franchise will be going there. That's another one that there's some mixed emotion around the community with that, but they brought forward a good plan. It seems to be a good fit for the location. There's some struggle with traffic flow and things of that nature. I can only assure the public that those things have been thoroughly vetted, both locally all the way through the Department of Transportation. No concern really at all was expressed to us. So yeah, we're going to roll with it. It's important that when someone wants to invest in your community, if the plan fits and it's good for that location, good for them, makes sense. I want to keep that door open because if they're choosing to invest here once, they may choose here to invest here twice, because we do know we have other areas that are primed for develop, both that are vacant at the time. I'm going to call them blighted areas. And if I have a developer that wants to bring something to this community, I have also blighted areas I would love to push them towards to see those buildings bulldozed and something else brought in. So I'm all for it. We also have the ice cream shop going downtown, Brandon, correct?
Yeah.
And there's one more. Help me out. Oh,
yeah. We're, one of the other ones on State that people have been noticing is the Red Barn,
yes.
boutique there that they've just recently redone the facade on that. And what a massive and great investment on State Street and all the windows and really cleaning up a building that, and if you could see the inside too, what they had to do to the structure and the interior, that building was in rough condition. So what a great investment.
I mean, and that's, look at other communities. And this does, I don't want to sound disparaging to other communities, but it truly is. I mean, what you look like is very reflective of what you are and what you bring to the table. And we are fortunate to have people that want to invest in and improve buildings that are vacant or empty or in need of disrepair or in disrepair in need of work. And when you're beautiful, on the outside, you're beautiful on the inside, I would say. And by that I mean when we look good as a community, that's just because of the good work that everybody behind the scenes doing, and it's their care for the community. And that goes from the citizen up through the elected official and through the staff. And I can't say enough about the staff because having been one and now kind of shepherding the team, they work really hard. And we are lucky to have so many people that we have in the roles that they're in when they could easily go elsewhere and make more money, but we bring so much to the table as an employer that is more than a paycheck. And I think the lion's share of our workforce recognizes that and chooses to make Geneseo their home here. And when they feel that way, that just makes us even stronger with that bond to the community. When they have that in their soul, we're really lucky.
Yeah. And to flash back on the ice cream shop project that the mayor just mentioned too, we folks have been noticing that there's a concrete pour going on yesterday and today. Next to that, that's going to be a little seating area out there, which will complement across the parking lot with Geneseo Brewing Company, kind of a similar concept. It'll be a nice little plaza area right there too, or in addition to what GBC has put in for their shop.
It's a trend right now. People want outdoor entertaining. They want outdoor venues, and it's again us recognizing and staying current with the time and helping our business people remain competitive with those around them.
Yeah, and I think probably everybody knows where we are talking about. It's pretty much just right across First from the phone company office. But if you go by, you'll see the activity and stuff happening out there. But yeah, it's kind of a nice fit. That started with, we're approached by a business. Hey, could we maybe do some outdoor seating behind our facility? Having being open to that idea, and then having it happen. And again, nothing but positive outcome from that. And on scooters, maybe a little bit too. This could be something to throw in too. Is that certainly as a city, we're involved in the development process, but there's many things we can control or influence. There are some things that it doesn't matter how great our idea is; somebody else controls it, and so it does. We do interact with the state. We do interact with IDOT, depending on what roadways and stuff it's on, and they have standards in place that we're obligated to adhere to. Yeah. And so many times people may think, well, why are you doing that? And it's because there's just a statute or requirement that we need to follow.
Keith, I'm really glad you brought that up, because when I thought about our conversation here this morning, I wanted to tie that with the role of an elected official, albeit council or mayor. A lot of times that is a portion of the frustration that your public will have with some discussion or some decision that was made. And a lot of times our decisions are based around what we're being told we can and cannot do. Specifically from Springfield a lot of times. And so we do the best we can to make the decision that fits for Geneseo with the cards that we've been dealt. So a lot of times the public doesn't realize. And so that's back to taking the time as an elected official to have that engagement with the public and give them more knowledge or help them understand the matter better. And a lot of times, we walk away all the better.
Yeah. Yeah. The last project that I wanted to mention too that folks may see is the intersection of Oakwood and State. There's going to be some activity there. We have a brand new Welcome to Geneseo sign going up there. Looks like we're going to have some very nice flag poles going up in that area as well. And a little landing pad that connects to the Oakwood sidewalk that folks can walk down, sit on a couple of benches, and it will feature the boulder with a plaque that marks what was the location of the first log cabin in Geneseo. So kind of a nod to the history there too, and bringing that boulder and that marker back to the spot where that actually was has been a priority for us for a while as we've looked at this area for a couple years now and what we were going to do there. So that's happening this fall, which is pretty exciting. Should be a nice improvement to when you come off the interstate and people come into Geneseo from out of town especially, and just kind of a nice little welcoming area before you get downtown. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. A couple other things I'd like to mention just coming up kind of on the calendar type of stuff. We are in citywide garage sales currently. They run today through tomorrow. Tomorrow at Geneseo Brewing Company is the QCBC bicycle ride. It's a 25-mile bike ride that starts and ends at GBC right here in Geneseo. There's going to be live music out there from noon until 3 p.m. They also have music coming in tomorrow night as well, so it should be a fun day to be on State Street. A couple other things, 918 through 921 is fall cleanup. Check the city's website, city's Facebook page for details on that with where exactly you fall in the pickup route if you're going to put items out, as well as checking to make sure you know what you can and cannot put out on the curb. 923 is e-waste day. That is moved to the street department building this year, which is on Chicago Street. There'll be a nice line forming on Chicago for that. And then lastly, I want to mention hydrant flushing, which is 925 through 929, critically important process. It's also required by the EPA to flush out our water infrastructure, some of that built-up sediment, some of those things that cause discoloring, et cetera, et cetera. That'll be taking place the last week of September this year. So,
Well, there you go. And when we hear the PA announcement for the high school starting, we know it's about time to pull the plug on the program. I know our listeners can't hear it, but it actually comes through pretty clear here in the studio once they start that. But would definitely like to thank Mayor Johnson for stopping in this morning and spending some time, being able to partake in this project that you green-lighted and be part of the grassroots growth of it. And hopefully our listeners enjoyed it. And do like to point out, too, that these also are these programs are archived on the city website, so you can download them and listen to them again or share them with people, whatever you'd like to do. But there is the whole point of this is we say it in jest, but not just to listen to us ramble on every Friday morning. But it is an effort to kind of just also improve communication. As news sources have become more and more diverse, I think there really isn't a kind of central voice. We have the city website and the Facebook page, and that would be the central voice. But this is gives time to go a little bit more in depth on topics, and this is all an effort just to improve communication, just make our citizens aware more of what's going on in their community, and hopefully making them feel more a part of it as well. So
and if folks folks have an idea for a future program, or they'd like to hear something discussed, or idea of somebody to bring on to talk about something coming up, let us know. Shoot Keith or myself an email at the city, and we'd be happy to talk to you about it.
There you go. And Brandon, I'm throwing this out, but we do have the ability to do live remote stuff too. So maybe sometime down the road, it's breakfast at the donut shop, or you go to McDonald's, come in, we'll buy you a donut. Who knows? But that is something that potentially, maybe a holiday program.
Keith's always throwing surprises at me here.
Yeah, so we'll at some point down the road, maybe we'll do that too. So anyway, Brandon, thank you very much as always. Mayor Johnson, thank you as well. And you've been listening to Let's Talk Geneseo, and this is WGRG 100.5 FM in Geneseo. Have a good Friday and weekend.